Good morning. Today we will continue to study about the classification of the clauses into the 5 types. We studied about the second type of clause previously. We will start to study the second type of clause with an example. There is a clause, you are happy, with a description of the adjective happy to practice the role as the subjective complement. The definition of the be verb is converted from describing the existence of the subject, the listeners, to describe the condition of the subject. We can understand that the definition of the be verb can be deepened with the additional description for the subject. Basically, the be verb describes the existences of the subject, who are the listeners. The additional description by the adjective happy with a role as a subjective complement. The definition of the be verb can be deepened to describe the condition of the subject. After we understand or accept that the listeners exist, we are able to understand how the subject the subjects are. The conversion of the definition that the be verb conveys is an example to prove that the be verb includes the trait as an adverb. This phenomenon that the definition of a verb is changed into a profound one is very special. This phenomenon can be understood from the fact that the be verb is constituted. The be verb can be replaced by the general verb exist and the preposition as, which is one of the adverbs. So we can say that the be verb includes the trait as an adverb, especially the trait of a preposition as. There is the second example for the second type of clause. You are a pilot. In this clause, the subjective complement a pilot defines the listener. So we can understand that the subjective complement can describe the subject in a way to define the subject. The speaker who considers a clause shared in the conversation with the listeners to be propagated, to be shared, to be spread in the point of time to include the present and the future sets the number of the listeners as plural. This is the preceding explanation about the number of the subjects as plural and the subjective complement as singular. We consider the number of the subjects as plural, but with a specification by the subjective complement, a pilot, we can understand that the initial subject, the initial listener as the subject was able to be figured out as one. we can understand the role of the subjective complement into a specification for the subject. The speaker at the present, when the class shared in the conversation is the speaker at the present, when the class shared in the conversation is being propagated, spread, indicate one of the uncertain listeners with the indefinite article "a" as a determiner. The determiner "a" gives the listeners the information about the fact that the described subject is one of any subject that can be indicated by the general noun pilot. Each one in the group of the listeners as the subject is specified by a determiner "a." The third example is stated in the second type of clause with the intransitive verb lose. We can vividly understand that the speaker who states this clause sees the cake and states this clause with the intransitive verb look. The speaker applies the intransitive verb looks to describe the subject the cake based on the condition that the speaker himself identifies with the action of seeing the object, the cake, which became the subject of this clause. The speaker applies the intransitive verb looks to describe the condition of the subject, the cake, from the perception, the visionary perception, and the adjective nice to describe the condition of the subject, the cake. In this clause, the adjective nice with a role as a subjective complement describes the condition of the subject, the cake.